morning, everybody. It's May 4th, 2021. I'm Kimberly Jolly, and today we're going to be on our 5th Stitchy Talk. So this is just an hour to just sit and stitch and ask questions, chat with your friends in chat with me, and we're going to start today with Sail Away, which is a new mystery PDF program. It's exclusive to Fat Quarter Shop. And on each of these programs, I try to do something different, so there's a teaching point. So today's teaching item is going to be all about how to figure out how big to make your fabric and where to start with your fabric. So I've got my Sail Away bag, and I do have it written in my little book. So in my cross stitch journal, I do keep everything in here. And the reason I do this is if I change colors, I can make a note. And in a couple of years, if I want to see what I did, or if I'm looking at that and really like the color, I can find what I did. So I've got my Sail Away bag, and I've got everything in here. I've got my scissors. These are the Omni-Grid scissors I use all the time. I've got Beeswax by Lori Holt. I have all my floss, and I went ahead and put all of my color and cotton on our FlossBitties. And these are the ones that go with this. This is Sail Away. So we have a couple of different ones, but this is a Sail Away. So I have this. I have two Clover Winder clips, and I'm going to show you how I use those. They're kind of a must-have. I have my needles. Today I'm going to use Pat Carson size 26, and so they come with 25 in this packet, and I just dump them in here. And that's the one I'm going to use today since I'm stitching on 14 count. I'm going to use the cross stitch key to show you where to start. I'm going to use the line keeper to keep everything in line, and we're going to start. So I'll put my little bag over here. So when you purchase a pattern, most patterns, well, I would say 99% of cross stitch patterns tell you the stitch count. So what stitch count means is the number of squares. So there's 131 squares we're going to stitch this way, and 142 squares we're going to stitch this way. So I'm going to show you how I calculate everything. So I'm stitching on 14 count, touch of blue. So if you take 131 divided by 14, that is 9 3/8, which is this finished size right here. Should match there. 142 divided by 14 is 10 1/4, so that matches there. But let's pretend you want your piece to be smaller and you're going to do 16 count. You would do 131 divided by 16, and that would be 8 1/8. 142 divided by 16, 8 7/8. And then you could just write down on your pattern the different size. So if you're doing 28 count, that's the same as 14 count. If you're doing 16 count, that's the same as 32 count. So since I'm using 14 count, I can just go with this pattern size and what's listed. And I went ahead and cut my fabric 13.5 by 14.5. That gives me 2 inches all the way around. So so it should be 2 inches, 9 3/8, 2 inches. Now you could do 3 inches if you would like. I figured 2 inches is plenty. So I used my little corner guide, and I put the 2 inch mark right there. And I'm going to start right here. So that's how I know where to start on my piece. Now if you cut your fabric bigger, you can start further in. So from here, when I start, I usually start in the top left. You can really start wherever you prefer. Some people start in the center. Some people who are left-handed might start in the top right. But since this is the border, we're going to stitch all of this, and I'm just going to start in the top left, and that symbol is silver lining. So I'll find my silver lining. And I'm using Color and Cotton. We do also list the DMC colors. And this pattern is a paid PDF, and I'm just showing it, the full thing, because you can't find the rest of it. So it is not a free pattern, but since it is our company's pattern, we can show it. And it is... This part came out last Friday, and then part 2 will come out this Friday. So when you open Color and Cotton, it should be already cut into strips for you. I'm going to just pull one out. That's usually what I do no matter what thread I'm using. I'll just pull one out, and then I put everything back on except for the one, and I'm just going to use that until it's done. So I will set this aside. From here, I like to find one of the little pieces and then pull. So then I just set this aside. I stitch where I do the loop method. So I'm going to show you the loop method really quick. Now, when you're using a hand-dyed floss, like I'm showing you, Color and Cotton is hand-dyed, so you can see there is variegation in the floss. You're not supposed to use the loop method. You're supposed to keep 2 threads together and do 1x at a time. That way you get the most variegation. And that is how our sample is stitched. But I prefer to just do the loop method, so I'm going to do it kind of the Kimberly way. But I just want you to know what you're supposed to do. But I just don't always follow the supposed to do. So I'm going to take a needle out. To thread, I just take the end that has the 2 open ends, and I can do this in my sleep. I pinch it and thread it. Pat Carson is super easy to thread. The bowen needles I also use sometimes. They are much harder to thread, but they're thinner at the end. They're tapered a little bit more. And I am going to, in a video in about 1 to 2 weeks, show you the difference in the 2 needles that I use the most. So from here, I'm going to start over here, but what I like to do is I want to get all this fabric out of my way. So I'm going to roll this up. And you can see I took this out of the package. I have not ironed it. I just kind of start. I don't think I need to iron it. It's going to kind of even itself out. So I'm going to roll this up, put a wonder clip on it. And with the wonder clip, I try not to clip, like once I start stitching, I try not to put this on my stitches. And then this bottom, you can roll that up if you want. You don't really have to, but I will. So I'm going to put my little corner guide, and I'm just going to put a stitch. Let's see. We'll just put a stitch right there. I'll go ahead and do 1 full X, and then I'll figure out where I'm at on the pattern. So on the back, I just put my needle through my loop. I got a little knot on the front. Okay, so when you get a knot like that, if you put your needle in there, it's going to come right out. Okay, so you see this loop is right here at the top. When you come to the front, you can actually see that loop through the front. So what I do is I adjust to where the loop ends kind of in the middle of the X, of the square. And then I'm just going to start stitching. And I'm just going to follow my pattern. And okay, so I've got another knot. So I'm going to undo it. Now I've got 2 knots. What I'm going to do is put my needle through my thread. and do that. And then I'm going to take this thread conditioner. Now this is something that's brand new by Lori Holt. It's 100% beeswax, and I'm going to just do the ends, and hopefully that will help. And I'm just going to kind of stitch the way the pattern is, and I am going to add my line keepers. I'm going to put one this way, and I'm going to put one this way when I find it. I think I put it in my bag. Oh, here it is. Sorry. And I'll put one this way. And that will kind of help me draw my eye to just right here, since these are kind of small. So I'm just going to stitch, and oops, okay. So right there, I didn't go all the way in that hole. I went over here. So I'm going to unstitch this. And the one thing that I do when I'm stitching is I use a magnifier. I use the Halo Go magnifier. On camera, I can't do that. So I do like to use these glasses. I just bought them online. They're a 3.0 magnification, and it's just a random website. One of my friends had them, and I thought, we were at dinner and I thought they were cute, so I bought them. So I'm just gonna stitch a little bit, answer questions. I'm gonna start answering questions. So I'm gonna go, let me see. Yeah, I'm gonna just go 3. So when I'm stitching, I do try to keep this hand steady, and I move this one because I'm right-handed. Now here, I'm gonna show you railroading. It is totally optional. Railroading means you put your needle in the center of your threads, and it makes it nice and flat. So sometimes I railroad, sometimes I don't. It's up to you. Some people think it takes double the time. Okay, so now I'm just going to follow the pattern and just keep going. So Margaret Dooley says, I picked up everything sail away. I'm new where I start stitching my border row. I'm also stitching the Make-A-Wish cross stitch. I didn't start in the middle. Is that okay? Yes, you are the boss of your own cross stitch, just like Lori Holt says with quilts. Whatever you're doing in any kind of craft, I always think you should do what works best for you, because you're going to have better results. So if you're super particular about the way the back looks or the front looks, do whatever works best for you, because then you're less likely to give up on a project. And it's always better when you can complete. Is there a border on the bottom of the piece? No, only on the sides. And this is my FQS May-Nia Start 4. So this needs to be done by tomorrow. And tomorrow's live stream, I'm going to show you what I've gotten done. And tonight, I've also got a small stitch that I think I'm going to try to do before tomorrow. Chris R. says, does anyone have their finished projects in the bathroom? How do they do with the moisture? That's a good question. I would think if you were putting it in a bathroom that it might be best to put glass on it. Now here I'm noticing my thread is twisting, so I'm going to, again, split my threads and see it starts tangling. Today my thread is more tangly than normal. And if you split them all the way apart, and then I'm put them back together. After railroading, is it more difficult to unstitch? Oh no, it's totally the same. No change there. I'm really new. Can you explain how to bind work? Oh, zigzag. Okay. So this is, I think, what you mean, and we just do a sewing machine, we do a zigzag stitch and we just make the width and the length a little bit longer than the normal setting. And if you can't do that, you can always use painter's tape or washi tape. Not washi tape, I would use painter's tape. And so I'm just going to keep stitching. And I'm going to go right to left, and then kind of my thought process is to go all the way across and then go down and then down. And I do try when I'm stitching, if I try to kind of always go in the same direction. Delinda says, good morning, Kimberly. I'm still working on Prim and Proper. Oh my gosh, you're gonna love it. I love that one. I think it looks so good. I'm waiting for mine to come back from the framer, I think. And then what's everyone stitching this morning? I'm 3/4 of a way done with America the Beautiful by Priscilla and Chelsea. Oh my gosh, I want to make that one so bad. That one is so pretty. I asked Priscilla how long it took her, and she said, oh no, it was real easy. She stitches like, I think, twice as fast as I do. But I want to make that one. Is anyone stitching set sail on a different color? Yeah, are y'all stitching on different fabrics? What fabric, what thread? I always think it's fun to make it your own, make it match your house. This one I really think my father-in-law would like. He used to have a sailboat. When I first met Kevin, they had a sailboat. And, you know, I'm deathly afraid of water. Like, I am not a water person. I cannot, you cannot pay me to get in the ocean. I am scared of water. And so, like, the way he introduced me to his parents as we went on a boat, I was like, oh my God, this is not the way that I want to meet your parents. I have framed pieces in my bathroom with the glass on and have not had any problems. Awesome. Working on Serendipity. Yay! We're going to show you some cute pictures tomorrow of Charlotte's, the rest of her wish on Sunday is so cute. Working on Shine On. I love it so much. Yay! Kimberly, do you stitch in a row? Yes, sometimes. With this one, I'm not stitching in a row just because there's a lot of up, down, left, right. Okay, so I want to show one thing. So you'll notice when I stitch, I go bottom left, top right, bottom right, top left. So when I go to this stitch, I'm going to do the same thing. If I go a different way, say I go top right, it's still the same direction, but it's like I'm starting and stopping in different holes. It's not going to look as good. See how that stitch starts to look crooked right there? So I always start and stop in that same hole, just because I think it starts looking bad if you don't. Oh, Lori Holt says, I'm stitching on my red sampler this morning. Yay! I love that quilt. Let's see. So here I'll show you how you can stitch in a row, which is one of the questions we just got. So as I go, I'm going to kind of hold this in. So there's 5 stitches to the right. So I'm going to do 1, 2, and you'll notice I'm not railroading because it's the bottom stitch. So that was quick. Now I'm going to go back across. I'm going to railroad. A lot of people don't railroad, so do not feel like you have to. A lot of people don't. And for example, my piece that I just finished called Home by Rabbit Valley Studio, I finished that. I didn't railroad one of those stitches. So it kind of just depends, you know. Now here, I'm going to go from here and down. So I'm not going to go across and then back across, because then I would have to travel from here to here. So I'm going to do one stitch at a time going this way. And my threads are just really wrinkly today and curly, so I'm going to slit them again. Stitching Home by Rabbit Valley and going to make it into a little pillow. Oh my gosh, that'll be so cute. Can you explain the difference between DMC and Weeks Dye Works? DMC has been in existence for hundreds of years, or at least 100 years. It's made in France, and it is just an embroidery floss with 6 strands. Weeks Dye Works, Classic Color Works, Gentle Arts, and Color and Cotton hand dye on top of that. So the difference is the model effect of the threads. DMC comes in skeins with 8 yards, and Weeks Dye Works comes in skeins with 5 yards. And I kind of stitch with everything. It doesn't matter to me. As long as the finished product is going to look good, I'm happy. I'm not snobby about threads. I do think it's good to use a variety, so sometimes not everything gets the same. So I always think it's good. I would much rather prefer to change my fabric up, no, my thread up, than my fabric. So for fabric, I really prefer just 14 count Witchell, 14 count fabric flare, plain, because I can stitch on it really easily. The thread, I like to change up. So I'm kind of getting to the end of that thread. I think I've had enough of that thread. So I've got about 2 inches, 3 inches. I'm going to run my needle through 4 to 5 stitches, and I try to get, you know, really under there. Run the stitch, pull it a little bit, and then cut. The reason I love these scissors is it cuts right there. And I've never cut through the front. Now, I've cut through my finger plenty of times. And let me tell you, it does not feel good. Oops. So I'm just going to keep going doing the same thing. I'm going to kind of just straighten it a little bit. Maybe it'll be a little straight. Sandra asks, I'm stitching the May trucking along. Is there any chance Kimberly could post a picture of her finished May trucking along? Do we have it back? Okay, I'm not sure if we have it back yet from Priscilla, but yes, we will show it when we get it back. Why do you railroad your stitches? So, railroading is optional, but it makes your stitches lie nice and pretty. And they just look better. They're just flatter. Curly, tangly, wrinkly threads. Time to use some Lori Holt beeswax. I love that stuff. Yes. Hi everyone, completely new to FlossTube, but not new to cross stitching. I've been stitching since I was 16, now 24 and stay-at-home mom to an 8-year-old baby girl. 8-month-old baby girl, so now I'm getting back into it. Yay! Working on Farm Fresh cherries by Little House. I live in a cherry producing county. Oh, country. Okay, I'm going to try to figure out where I'm at before I keep going. Okay, I'm off somewhere. Okay, I've got to keep going this way. 2, 3. Will the pattern for sail along be available after it's all released? Yes. And then at the end, it will be available as just one file. But it will always be PDF. I'm here in Texas visiting family. I'm stitching Sail Away. I love it. Yay. I finished Prim and Proper, started Flea Market Flowers, and the USA Jar by Priscilla and Chelsea. I'm stitching Home of a Needleworker by Little House Needleworks. Yay, everybody's stitching. So let me know if you guys have any questions about any kind of stitchy demos you want to see. So I'm going to go over 5, 2, 3, 4. So somebody's asking what the beeswax does when you put it. I've never used it. So it just straightens your thread, and you can either straighten the whole strand or just the end. And I just straightened the ends today, but it's 100% natural, so it just kind of makes it much easier to thread your needle because it makes it stiffer. Have you ever made Sullivan's Floss? It's made in the USA. Actually, it's not made in the USA. It's distributed in the USA, but it is not manufactured in the USA. But I have not used it. Let's see. Okay, now I'm going to go across. I'm still pondering on my choice of fabric. Do you think Aida cloth looks splotchy, like clouds would be too busy? I'm not sure. There is a lot of white in here, so that would be my only concern, is with the white blending in with the clouds. Stitching Memorial Day with Sulky Patriotic Thread Collection on 14 count Aida, using the loop method, but stitches are thick. Should I only use one strand? Oh no, you should. On 14 count, I would definitely use 2 strands. What is the size you cut your cloth to? On this one, I went over it in the very beginning, but for this exact design on 14 count, I cut it 13.5 by 14.5. That gives me 2-inch border all 4 sides. But if you would like to have more, then you would cut it larger. I'm starting Sail Away. I'm using Cosmos 16 count frozen blue. The DMC gray isn't showing up well, but I'm not changing it. Why do you only wax the end instead of the complete thread? I don't really know. I kind of just, Lori told me that's what she does, so I just started doing what Lori does. I haven't really thought about it. Is Halo Go wireless? It will keep a charge for 3 hours, so it can be wireless for 3 hours. But in my car, I actually have a charger in my car just for Halo Go. So as I get going, I kind of unroll and then just roll this way. Can you show how you started your thread again? Yes, on the next strand I will show you. Are there plans for mystery patterns? Well, this one's a mystery, so yes, we have this one planned. We have a Halloween one planned. We have Valentine's Day next year planned. Christmas one. We have all kinds of stuff planned. Lots of fun stuff. We want to keep y'all busy stitching. And so this will keep, the pattern will kind of just keep going. So you'll get used to the design and it'll go faster as you go. Let's see. But I'm gonna follow it though. I'm not gonna just assume that it's all the same. Okay, right there, it got all bunched up. So I'm gonna pull that out. So it actually got bunched up because when I pulled my thread up, I pulled it up somehow between those threads there. So I'm gonna undo all of this. I'm going to just undo a bunch of stitches. I'm stitching on Flea Market Flowers. I can't put it down. It's so good. I tried to understand the math you did earlier to work out fabric, but didn't really get it. So you just take your finished size and add 4 inches if you want 2 inches all the way around, or 6 inches if you want 3 inches around. I cannot get white stitches to look as nice as others. Railroading doesn't help. Okay, keep your threads straight. Just make sure they're not. So I would just constantly do this, like this. So I would take your white thread and do this. Separate, put it back together, and just keep doing that. White is difficult. I think everyone's white kind of looks like that. Lori says, I wax the end because that's where the fraying happens, as it gets the most use as you're stitching. And she's talking about her beeswax. I'm new to cross stitching. When you start a cross stitch, where do you start? Is there a rule? So if you watch the beginning of the video, I went over that. I start in the top left. You can start wherever you would like. In life, just like in stitching, there's really no rules. The rules are made by you. So whatever you want to do. The selvage at the top, did you add that in the 2 inches? Yes. No. So there's 2 inches from here to here. So I did not count that in. So right there. So yeah, I mean, you could count it in, but I didn't. How do you keep your needle on the thread with the loop method? So right here, I keep it where these 2 ends are open. And I just thread. Where will you put the sail along after it's completed? I don't know, because I'll probably do like a little section that has nautical stuff on one of my shelves at home, so that I don't have any nautical pieces right now, so I'll probably get something nautical so that there's some stuff around it that matches. But somewhere in my living room. I really kind of only decorate my living room, kitchen. I don't decorate my bedroom really. I have trouble threading the needle. Is there a needle threader you recommend? I don't use needle threaders, but Pat Carson needles are the easiest to thread, but I don't actually use a needle threader. Any particular reason why you don't hoop? I have a spring hoop and love how tight it is. Well, I used to use the Q-Snap, and that was exclusively what I used. And then it just got way too bulky because I'm trying to do 10 projects at a time. And I just was like, okay, this is just way too expensive to have all these hoops. So I just learned how to stitch in hand. Chelsea and Priscilla taught me how when they came. So I'm kind of at the end. This stitch right here looks kind of ugly. I'm going to pull it out. What is the type of needle used? I'm using Tapestry 26 on 14 count, and the brand I'm using is Pat Carson. I struggle when I'm stitching on white. It always seems to end up lumpy. I agree. White is the most difficult one to get to look nice. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and end. So again, I've got about, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches left. Whenever my stitches start looking ugly, that's when I end. Unless you're getting to where you're almost out of thread. Then you have to play thread chicken. Including sail away, how many May-Nia projects are you working on this time? I think 9. 8, 9, something like that. And I decided to add one more this morning, so maybe 10. I'm just not going to consider it May-Nia. I'm just going to do it today. So today I've got to do this, and I'm going to try to do a whole chart today to show you tomorrow. I retired Friday. Thought this would be a good time to start a new hobby. Yay! So from here, I'm going to just do the ends. And so I've got 2 open ends. My loop is on the other side, and I'm going to thread here. It looks like your stitches, you put your needle in between the threads. Yes, that is called railroading, and that just keeps it straighter, but I only do it on the top. Okay, I'm going to show you something. That stitch, look at it. It's all puffy. I didn't pull it tight enough. So I'm going to go to the back, find where that is, and I'm going to pull it tighter. And now it's straight. And then I'll clip that little piece off. And then I just keep going. Is there a tip for getting the tension right when using the sewing method? So I would say my tip would be keeping it flat in your hand and keeping your hand on the front and the bottom. And so my hand on the front is like this, and on the back it's like this, so it keeps it flat. Let's see. Let me figure out where I'm at. Okay. And so my finger's back here. So I do hit my finger a lot. So sometimes I'll get a callus right here because that's where I hit. But since they're tapestry needles, they're not going to poke you too bad. So let's see, I'm just going to keep going. I'm having Lori Holt Stitch Mania work on Prim, Flea Market Flowers, and Sew by Row. Awesome. So she's doing her Stitch Mania where she just works on Lori Holt, so that's a good way. Heart and Home Finish piece by Needle Bling. I'm stitching June Cottage of the Month from Country Cottage Needleworks. Yes. So this is Needle Bling Designs Home. I stitched on 14 count whitewash board from Fabric Flair, and this is Hickory Sticks by Country Cottage Needleworks. This is Hickory Sticks by Classic Colorworks. And there's more to the pattern, I just left it off. And then Priscilla finished this with this cute little key and some fabric. This is not her fabric because this is before her fabric was produced. And I think that whole idea, I think the Hickory Sticks, I think Priscilla even finished, she picked that thread for me too. Because she was trying to get me to start using fancy floss. Do you have a floss and cloth conversion? No. So what I do, we have a video that's coming out soon that talks about how we store all of our floss at Fat Quarter Shop. So if I want to change a designer's floss, I will pull the floss they call for. And from there, I will just convert it to something like better. So I'm going to unroll a little bit. And from here, I'm going to actually start rolling this in. Have you ever used counted pins when stitching long stretches at one time? No, I've thought about it, but I haven't. I haven't done it. I prefer to work with 25 count. What color do you suggest for sail away? I'm not sure because I don't know if it blew off the top of my head. Okay, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Can we see what it looks like on the back? Yes. Am I the only one that matches my Wonder Clips to my projects? Oh my gosh, I don't do that, but oh my gosh, now that you said that. I actually, on the Wonder Clips, I really only like the red and the pink ones. All their neon colors, I don't like. I wish that they had better colors of Wonder Clips. When will the next Stitch Quarterly be released? Any hints? It will be May, June, and I'm trying to think of what it is. It's summer themed. That's right. Okay, it's not a flag this year. It's summer themed. I had to think of what it is. Sorry, I had a brain moment. I can't always remember off the top of my head. Let's see. Okay, so I think I'm in the right spot. Okay. I ordered the linen instead of the Aida. Will the floss show up well? It should. I mean, as long as I think it will. What 14 count Aida should I use for land that I love? I think that lamb's wool would look great. And I think beautiful beige would look great. Does the Pat Carson needle have a sharp point? No. So I can stab myself. Now don't do this with a bow and needle because it will hurt more. So yes, that's what I need to do. Maybe I can do that to my kids. I have no one to relate to in cross stitch. So you guys give me support. Yay! I love that we have the chat so people can become friends. I'm excited to get my first Stitch Quarterly. Yay! Okay, so this happens all the time. See all that mess of a boo? So to pull it out, I think I spend more time doing this than anything. And this is why my stitching always looks kind of nice, is because I do this. Now, my home stitch, I'll tell you, my home stitch that I just finished, it's a mess. It is the messiest thing I've ever made in my life. But on that one, I just decided, let me just do something where I'm not going to railroad, where I'm just going to do whatever. I'm going to do it at baseball, and actually dropped it on the floor. One of my kids had to run and get it. I was like, hurry, my cross stitch. I was having a panic attack. Not really, but I was like, please run and get my cross stitch. But it's a mess, but that's okay. When it's finished, it'll look good. So sometimes I do projects that, you know, they don't have to be all perfect. What do you think of 25 count pewter for sail away? I think it'll look great. Just make sure your grays look good on top of it. You might have to change some grays. You might not. You'll just have to see when you get it. I have such a hard time figuring out what to substitute for 36, 40. Well, I don't use 36 or 40. But they do make the same color fabric in other counts that you could just kind of convert to that count. And just do the same thing that I showed in the beginning where you take your stitch count. I would never, like, I don't want to say never, but I don't think I'll ever stitch 36 count. I know for sure I won't stitch 40 count. There's no way. I'm doing good to see this. Why do you like the Pat Carson needles? Okay, so I like the Pat Carson because, and I'm going to do a demo on the difference in Pat Carson and Bowen, because those are the two I use. Okay, so right there, I can tell what a Pat Carson needle is because it's gold up here and silver at the bottom, and you can see that hole. It's easy to thread. Bowen needles, are thinner. They're all silver, and I like them better when you're doing a smaller count, but they bend much more. So Pat Carson, I think they just stay sturdier, but they are thicker. Do you press your Aida cloth? So before I started, I didn't press. That's the wrinkle from the package. At the end, I will press. The Pokey Little Pineapple says, just wondering, since I'm left-handed, how do the other left-hander cross-stitchers stitch? So Denise is left-handed. She just start in the top right. Oh, no, she says she starts normal. I don't think I could ever do a demo on left-handed because I think I'm doing good with right-handed. Do I press my Aida cloth? Yeah, no. At the end, I do. So guys, tell me what city you're from so I can know. We'll see who the farthest person away is. Never say never, Kimberly. There's lots of things I've talked you into doing. Oh my gosh, that's true, Lori. Lori talks me into all kinds of stuff. She's trying to talk me into something else. I'm like, can I win one argument, please? Not argument, but like, she always wins. Always. Whatever she says is always right. Oh, we call it LTL. Listen to Lori. When I do something that she's like, oh yeah, don't do that, and I do it. She's like, I told you, LTL, because she is always right. That's what I'm going to tell my kids. LML. Listen to mom. It's so funny when they ask me why. I'm like, because I said. I don't need to explain it to you. Just do it. Oh, Lebanon, Indiana, Baldwinsville, New York, Fairfield, California, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, Mississippi, Glendale, North Carolina, Perth, Western Australia, Meridian, Ohio, Boonville, Missouri, Wheatland, Wyoming, Michigan, North Dakota, Radford, Virginia, Montevallo, Alabama, North Carolina, Lakewood, California. Let's see, North Dakota, Woodstock, Illinois, Sharpsburg, Georgia. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I think it's actually pretty, something I never kind of thought of is like when you are from another country, like for example, say you're from Australia, y'all don't have the same city names within different provinces. So, but in America, like we have a bunch of cities that have the same name, like Woodstock. There's more than one Woodstock. And so that's something kind of funny about America is that there's a lot of names that are duplicated within the United States, which is kind of interesting. A lot of other countries don't do that. Dayville, Oregon, Santiago, Chile. Ooh! Clinton, New York, Clackamas, Oregon. We need to have an Indiana retreat. Alberta, Canada, Maryland. What part of Clark County? Ooh, Clark County. Y'all have had some good crime trials. Oh, Lori Taylor says she's lefty and she does stitch left to right. Central City, Nebraska, Central Ohio, Woodstock in England, White Salmon, Washington. I know I say that salmon. I don't know. I say that word wrong all the time. Actually Emma makes fun of me because she loves salmon, and I say it wrong every time. And she's like, "Mom, you're embarrassing me." And I'm like, "Well, it's fine." When will the Lori malted milk 14 count be available? Actually, got an email on that yesterday. Should be very, 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 very soon. They're packaging it right now. My thread breaks when I undo. Why? I would start with a shorter stitch length, and if it breaks, I would just kind of finish it off and start over. Maybe be a little more gentle, maybe. What is the halo light? So a halo light is made by a daylight light company, and it has a magnifier. and it has a light. So when I'm in my car, like last night, I went from baseball to dance and stitched for an hour, and I just turned my light on, and then my friends sit in the car next to me and they laugh at me. I mean, like, as you know, a good laugh. When my boys were younger, I stitched a small sign that said, "What part of no do you understand?" Then I would just point to the sign when needed. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. We have a new chore system in our house. My nanny was paying the kids 50 cents a chore, and she kept complaining to me, "Why are they not doing it?" I was like, "You need to up your price. That 50 cents is not going to do it." And now they're like doing chores like a boss. And she's like, "Oh my gosh." And I'm like, "I know, 50 cents. Like, I'm like, we're not in the 1960s. You got to really pay them." Boy, they're doing chores like she's never seen. She's so excited. I'm going to go broke though. In Australia, getting ready for Christmas now. Is it hot or cold here? So yesterday it was 96 when I went to the baseball game, but when I left it was like 80. So it's kind of 80, 90. I'm a lefty and start bottom left, coming from Newcastle, Australia. So see, everybody stitches different. It's awesome. Everybody does something different. So I'm going to keep rolling this up because I've got too much room over here now. I don't even know where I'm at on this pattern. I probably should be paying attention. I hope they're all the same. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm almost halfway done with the row. How do you thread your needle so easily? I just do it so often, but also the Pat Carson needle is easier to thread because it has a bigger eye. For land that I love, what fabric besides lamb's wool? I didn't understand. Okay, beautiful beige. I think natural light would be too light. So beautiful beige I think would be nice. So let me know if y'all have any other questions on anything. You can ask me a funny question. I tried to stitch in the car while my hubby was driving. I couldn't keep it steady. That did not work. Okay, so try to get a lap desk, because if you have a lap desk, you can put your elbow on the lap desk and it will steady your hand. That's what I do. My husband drives really fast, though. That's my only thing, is like, I'm always like, oh my gosh, we're going to get pulled over. You're going to get a ticket. He never does. I don't know how he doesn't get a ticket, but I get tickets at least once a year, and I don't even speed. He gets tickets never, and he speeds all the time. I'd start it in the middle to get the fabric even. Is that wrong? No, it's not wrong. You should start wherever you want to start. But it doesn't matter where you start to make the fabric even. It's going to be the same either way. Like when the way I think about it is, think about who's visiting your house. When they look at your piece, they're going to be like, "Oh, it's so pretty." They don't care where you started. They don't care what you did. As long as it looks good, and it'll be good. I have a good question. What is your very favorite floss color of all time? So I can tell you Lori Holtz. Lori Holtz is 347 DMC. And let's see. Lori is now, she said, I'm right-handed and I stitch right to left. So see, we're all different. Let's see. My favorite floss color would be I have no idea. I just asked that question. I don't even know the answer. I use bamboo a lot. I like ribbon red. Let's go with ribbon red. So I'm going to go with ribbon red. Lori's going to go with 347, and we're going to see what you guys think. I'm from Collinsville, Georgia. I tried English paper piecing on the way to the lake. It was a no-go. Crafting a plan live, so props to you. Okay, I agree. English paper piecing in a car would probably be too hard, because those needles that you have to use for EPP, English paper piecing, are very sharp, so I probably don't think I could do that in a car. Any tips on pressing out the fold in a finished project? I would just press and then walk away and then come back and press. And sometimes I add a tiny bit of starch if I can't get the line out, but I just kind of just press and hope it comes out. Maybe add a little water. Queen Bee Classic Colorworks. Yay! Okay, Priscilla and Chelsea, what's y'all's? Maybe it's, I think theirs would be bamboo. I'm in Eaton Rapids, Michigan. Classic Colorworks Queen Bee. At least I tried. We'll have to try again. Yes. So we got some votes for Capri. First time watching you live from Bowie, Maryland. My favorite is DMC 210, which is also my birthday. Oh my gosh. Okay, what color is 210? We'll have to see what color that is. Let's see what it is. Let's see. Purple. So we've got red, purple, and yellow. Does Pat Carson Needles have a package with multiple sizes? No, and we actually asked them about that, and they're not able to do that at this time because we thought that was a great idea also. First time watching you live. Would a clapper help to hold down the wrinkles? I would not use a clapper on cross stitch. I think it might flatten your stitches too much. Good morning. Is Lily on vacation? Lily doesn't work for us anymore. She resigned to do bigger and better things for her career, but we have new people and change is always good. We will always miss her. But she no longer works for us. But she'll be in the chat from time to time. Okay, I missed a stitch, so I gotta go back. So I'm over here. So I can either unpick and then go back. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna unpick so that I don't have a bunch of traveling on the back. And I do find sometimes I'll finish and then I'll see a stitch that I haven't stitched. So I'm gonna try to unstitch. Let's see. Do you or does anyone cross stitch after they're done? I wash my hands, but I still like the white could be dirty. So I don't wash my cross stitch at the end. But if you're using hand dyed floss, you probably should not wash it because it could bleed, because it's mostly not color fast. But I don't make my pieces to be heirloom stitches, so I don't know if my advice is the best. Can I only pick one color? Rain shower, ribbon red, queen bee, little sprout, deep blue sea, bamboo. Oh my gosh, Priscilla and Chelsea. They're so funny. Nita Pool says, oh, Dawn Wade says, would a wood clapper help to hold down the wrinkles? No, I would not do that. Does Pat Carson have, oh, nope, I've already answered that. Oops. I had my nails done yesterday for my birthday and the salon had Cajun shrimp. I'm usually a nude color, but thought of Kimberly. Now our nails are the same. Oh my gosh. So I go to a couple of nail places, like 3. Basically, I go where I can fit it in with my kids' schedule. And when I walk in, every one of them is like Cajun shrimp. I'm like, yep. I don't ever change it. I had a friend at one time who was like, you really need to like branch out and like change your nail color. And so I started doing it and I started having really bad luck. And I was like, oh no, we're going back to Cajun shrimp. I've been wearing that since I was in college. And to be honest, my nails would not be done if I didn't do these videos. Before I did these videos for years and years, I never had my nails done, ever. So I do the nails just for you guys. So do you still make X's the same no matter which direction? Yes, always lower left to upper right and then lower right to upper left, always. Yes. Okay, so I'm this is getting kind of yucky, so I might end this off. I have DMC cross stitch thread from 20 years ago. Is it still good? Yes. I always like seeing in the different cross stitch groups I'm in on Facebook, I always like seeing where people go to yard sales or Goodwill and they find thread. I always think that's neat. Okay, so I'm gonna do one more stitch and then end. So I'm under about 4. Oops. Okay, so that didn't, I'll just pull that out and redo it. When you only have one stitch in the middle of a tree, do you tuck the stitch into another color on the back? It kind of depends. If I think the thread is going to show through to the front, I just tack it under that same thread. If not, I'll travel. And I'll definitely show that in a future Stitchy Talk. Why do you use different size needles? How many times can you use the same needle? So that's a great question. I'm going to do one more thread, or I could do this whole skein. I've got 2 more strips left. So I use size 26 needle on 14 count. I use size 28 on 16 count. And I use the needle until it bends or until it gets sticky. So even though I wash my hands before I start, if I'm at a baseball game or something, if it gets really sticky, I'll just throw the needle away and start over. And some weeks I will really bend my needles a lot if I'm super stressed out, or, you know, I've got some like kid issue on my mind or something. Like today I've got a kid that needs, well, I have 2 twins and they have the same exact, but one of them has a test today, and so I'm like, oh, please let him do good. I have my mother's collection of DMC threads. She passed away over 30 years ago. It feels so special to stitch. Oh, that's nice. And Lori is saying that her needles come in different size packs. So if you get Lori's needles, there are different sizes within her pack. Stitching flea market flowers on 25 count Lugana. Oh my God, send help. Switching over to 14 count Aida. Yes, I've stitched a couple of things on 25 count. I think it's really nice. It's just, you got to be in the mood for it if you've got bad eyesight like me. People, you know, say, oh, it's the same. And it is different for everybody because different eyesight. So that's my struggle. But I do think that 25 count is beautiful, especially Lori's colors. How do you throw away your needles so they aren't dangerous? Oh, I just throw them away. I mean, they're tapestry needles. I don't think they have a big end on them. I mean, I drop needles in my house all the time, so my house is a danger zone. And I know some of you guys have said that's horrible, and it is. But you know what? My kids will live. My husband will live. We will all live. Sometimes I'm just too lazy to get up to find the needle. And sometimes I just can't find the needle. So I don't know. I think my kids are tough. Sometimes you gotta toughen up. So let's see. I'm shocked that I haven't made like a major mistake on this thing yet. It's nice to do repetitive stitching because you can just keep going. You just have to make sure your pattern doesn't have a change, but I looked and I think it's fine. So it's raining outside today, In fact, it's been raining for like a week, and our front yard started to flood the other night. So I wonder if it's raining where you guys are. Let's see. So I've kind of got a rhythm down, and it's looking really pretty. I put my old needles in an empty medicine bottle, and when I'm full, I throw it away. That's a good idea. That's a really good idea. I actually never even thought about it, to be honest. It never even crossed my mind. I'm stitching Prim Stitch series. I think I'm going to run out of Pebble Aura floss. Am I able to order? Yes. So we have that color available separately on our website. What is the latest true crime you've watched? I haven't watched much. There's not much out there. I am kind of bored out of my mind. I have nothing to watch. I watched The Grim Reaper. I mean, I've watched a couple things, but nothing has been great. I mean, gosh, I missed the year of like Tiger King and gosh, all that good stuff that came out last year. I watched Homicide Hunter, the whole series on Discovery. I mean, really not much good is out there right now. I watch a parakeet sometimes on YouTube. That's how bored I am. It's hard for me to work without headphones on because noise distracts me, and if I have like a solid sound on, I can be more efficient. So I am looking for things to watch. I'm totally out of things. I think I'm gonna delete Sundance now because I bought that channel, but I've watched everything on it. So I think I'm gonna delete that now. It just rained last night in Wisconsin. I've never been to Wisconsin. Sunny in Florida Keys. I'm 2 towns north of Austin and the sun is shining. I would love some more rain. I live in the desert, no rain, lots of sand. I want to go to Vegas. They have the desert there. That can be my excuse. I want to go to Vegas so I can be the desert. Do you have any information on what size to use with a different cloth? If you don't, could you provide it? We have it on the cross stitch key, so you could always just search cross stitch key on our website and then click on it and you can see the information there. And we're doing a beginner cross stitch series where that will all be included, and that is being filmed in the summer, released late summer. Can I watch this video again? Yes. So when we're done, we push a couple buttons and then YouTube will upload it, and then you can replay it. Not raining, but very cloudy and cool. Is it still raining in Austin? We had a big bulk of it last night in Dallas, Fort Worth. It is raining, yes. How is Piggy? Piggy's great. Oh my gosh, okay, I have a funny story and then we'll end. So Kevin snores and it drives me nuts. And he snores loud. I mean like a freight truck. So he refuses to wear his little CPAP machine. So when he does that, I start hitting him at night because it's the only way to make him do it. So 2 nights ago, I was trying to hit him and I hit the dog, and Piggy, I hurt Piggy. I was so upset all day. I was like, oh, poor Piggy. And then I told Emma the story and she was like, you thought about the dog all day and you just hit Dad all night. I'm like, well, he should put on his little machine. I don't want to hear him. He wakes me up. What do you do when your hands hurt from hours of stitching? Actually, my hands never hurt. So, but you can do exercises like if you do like this and you really stretch your fingers out and like really put them together and then really stretch them and then really like fist them and then do that. That's supposed to help. So I'm going to do a couple more stitches and then we will end. Now remember, tomorrow we are going to be live doing our FQS Stitch Mania, and I will get to show you all the stuff I've been working on. And I'm trying to sneak in an extra project to show you tomorrow, so there might actually be a little surprise. Let's see. Years ago, I lost a needle. I found it when I vacuumed it. I ended up in my foot and had to have outpatient surgery. Now I have a giant magnet. Ooh, that's not good. Okay. So let's see. So this was quicker than I thought. I've got to get all this done really quick after this, so I'm confident that I can get this done by the time we need to take the photo. And clip it. I usually put my needle in the little selvage. So from here, let's see how far we got. I hope there's no mistakes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I got a little bit past half, so I've got a little bit more to go. So tomorrow when you come, I will have the bottom done, the top, and the bottom. And then when I put it in my bag, I just fold it in 4s. That's usually what I do. And put the line keeper on here. And with this piece, since I've got one more gray, I will twist it on my fingers and poke it in here so I can find it when I come back, so I don't have to put it back on here and then take it back out. And then I literally just put everything in my bag. I usually put the pattern in first though. It would help if it would go in. Put the fabric, just throw it all in there, and then I'll put my thread conditioner. I even dumped my scissors in here. And then one thing that I do is on my sail away, I'm going to keep track of how much I've stitched per part. I used to just do random all over the place, and then it took too long to divide it up. And if I look at it by part, then it kind of helps me divide my time. So I'll write down right here that I spent an hour stitching. I've got a pencil somewhere in here in my bag. So it's about an hour. So I'll just put 1 hour, and then when I'm done, I'll put it right here. And let's see, I'll just put this. This is a cute little bag that Bev McCullough made me as a gift. Throw it in here. And then I'll be done. And then I'll answer a couple more questions. On the printout, there's no border along the bottom. Is that correct? Correct. So there is no border on this one on the bottom. It just goes around the top and the sides. I noticed that you stitch needle in the top hole and then come through the bottom hole. Does it stretch the hole? No. So that's called like stitching in hand, and it doesn't, you just have to kind of get used to doing it. The Pokey Little Pineapple says the most valuable cross stitch notion is the It's So I'm a Cross Stitch key. Yay! There was a lot of different notions we had, and I felt like I had too much in my bag, and I wanted to consolidate that so I wouldn't have too much going on in my bag. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm totally appreciative that you watch. I would love if you comment in the box and let me know what your favorite color is of thread, because I find that very interesting. And I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Have a great day.